One, a two, a one.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
And welcome to Better Horses Radio. We really appreciate you joining us. My name's Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And boy, Merle, we've got another great lineup coming their way. I mean, we're going from cattle, we're going from horses, we're even going down to Mexico.
Yeah, and it's this time of year where we got to talk a little bit about foals. I think there's a lot of people anxiously awaiting right now.
You know, that's going to be great. Coming up on this episode, Scott and Shelly Rystrom, quarter horses. Now, they not only breed horses, but they do some serious training out there.
Yeah, Scott starts a lot of colts, but he's really fortunate. He breeds most of the ones he starts, so they know a lot of those horses, 3 and 4 generations they've ridden.
You know, and they're also big on the show ring, and they bring some really good talent and some really good equine horses over there, and they do a really good job.
Yes, they do.
And coming up, we're going all the way to the Nicholas Diaz is going to be joining us, along with his family, Jerry Diaz and Stacy Diaz. Now, these are Charro ranchers, and they are really fun to watch.
There's a really good chance if you went to a rodeo, in the last 15, 20 years, you've probably seen these guys.
You know, over 150 years of generational experience that this family has. And the Charles has been a 17th century type discipline that's going on in the Western way of rodeos on the Mexican side. And Nicholas is going to walk us all the way through it.
Yeah, it's neat.
You know, and one of the things on the Better Cattle segment, we have Chelsea Good. Now, she's the Vice President of Government of Industry Affairs at the Livestock Marketing Association. And Merle, we get to really unpack a lot of the cow-calf operations from the consumer to the packing plants to the auctioneers.
Yeah, I think she'll be able to shed some light on too. There's been a lot, we don't think about the changes in the livestock marketing, and I think as sale barns has progressed, hopefully she can tell us kind of how that's changed.
And I think it's really interesting how the industry is changing, and there's a lot of legal ramifications that goes on when you're talking about these different type of disciplines in the cow industry.
Yeah, I think she brings a very interesting perspective to livestock marketing, because she kind of works for the sale barn side of it, the conglomerate of the sale barns. So she's gets to see both ends, the consumer and also the secondary markets.
So, but coming up first, we have Dr. Adam Bassett at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. He's going to give us an equine tip on foaling. And Adam, welcome to the Better Horses.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
So our big tip is about foaling.
Yeah, well, I figured that's the time of year that we're in now as well, foaling. And I thought I'd just kind of talk about a little bit about things to look for to be able to tell that your mare is about to foal. And so some of the main signs to look for are that, of course, the udder is bagging up, starting to fill, the mare's starting to make milk. You might even notice that the mare is starting to lactate, which we call waxing. And it's not really lactation per se, but it's a little waxy substance that develops right on the tips of the teats. You'll see that as well. Now, when she gets really close to foaling, sometimes the mares will actually be squirting milk out. But that's not too common, certainly not as common as the waxing anyway. And so those are some of the external signs that you can notice. If you have the ability to do some tests on the milk, because you are at this stage, in a lot of times you're able to milk the mare and get some milk to come out by hand. And you can do a test on that where you're looking at the calcium content of the milk. And if as the calcium rises, that will give you an indication that she's getting closer and closer to foaling as well. That's something we generally do here at the hospital, or your favorite veterinarian might do that if you take your mare to a vet clinic to foal out. we generally do the milk calcium tests here at the hospital. And then that gives us a really good indication of when she's ready to foal.
One of the questions are, if you're not sitting at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center and you're sitting out in the pasture and you're letting your mare out there, how can I do any type of precautionary measures to make sure the horse is not going to breach, everything's looking good, the sack's looking really good, to your point? Are there certain signs that I have to worry about that you say you should just look for, just to make sure everything's operating correctly?
Well, in advance of the foaling, that can be tough to tell. The foal doesn't really move into proper foaling position until basically right when the mare's foaling, really close anyway to the time that she's going to foal. So that's tough to tell for sure. You can take it to a vet clinic if you're capable of doing that, and we can check and kind of get an idea of whether or not the foal will be able to come out normally. But that is kind of tough to do in advance of the foaling. However, if your mare is out in pasture, that's one of the best places for them to foal out, on nice, clean pasture grass. And if it's possible to monitor her foaling while she's in the pasture, that would be ideal, because while you're monitoring the foaling, if she's going to have a problem, you can catch it in time and you can take her to the vet clinic in time to hopefully be able to have a positive outcome. But like we mentioned on a previous show too, if you are foaling out in a stall, the best flooring to have in the stall would be straw. Cover the floor with straw, not shavings, just straw. That will be the cleanest for the foal, and it will stick less to the foal. So it's a little bit safer for the foal in that situation.
Okay, so I got a lot of people who worry about that. And again, sticking with the pastures, and I agree with you, is a better way to foal out there. What about temperatures? I mean, we're fluctuating like 30, 40 degrees in temperatures. I know they're durable. What concerns do you have on temps when they're foaling?
Temperature doesn't concern me too much because, like you said, they're really durable. And once they get dried off, they're really good to go. But certainly these major temperature fluctuations, you go from being 70 degrees to, 0 or less, that can be a struggle for foaling. The main concern, like if it's too cold, would be to make sure the foal does have a dry place to foal out. You certainly don't want them to foal into some mud or a puddle or something that'll make it harder for the foal to get dried off, because the faster the foal can dry off, the better off they'll be out in the environment.
And so that's a perfect tip. And I have a lot of people worry about temperatures, but you bring up a good point, keeping it dry. This has been your Kansas State University Veterinarian Health Tip by Dr. Adam Bassett. I appreciate you joining us. And as always, we hope to talk to you next week and giving us another healthy tip when it comes to equine. Merle, we're going to go right into our next segment. We'll be right back.
Internal parasite control is critical to your horse's health, but isn't always easy. Some worms are as stubborn as they are dangerous. Luckily, there's Panacur Fenbendazole from Merck Animal Health. It works in a powerful and extremely safe way, so it's tough on parasites but gentle on horses, making it a safe choice for foals, weanlings, and even thin or debilitated horses. Consult your veterinarian for assistance in the diagnosis, treatment, and control of parasitism, and ask how Panacur can become part of your deworming strategy. Learn more at MerckAnimalHealthUSA.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
It's time to mark your calendar for one of the top horse events of the season, the 27th Annual Equifest of Kansas. This all-breed horse fair is coming to Salina, Kansas, beginning Thursday, March 14th through Sunday, March 17th. World-renowned clinicians including Guy McLean, the Jerry Diaz family, Julie Goodnight, Patrick Sullivan, and Sally Batten. Catch a special Thursday night show, plus the most popular competitions with ranch rodeo, barrel race, and breakaway roping. Wall-to-wall shopping for all things horse. For more information, go to equifestofks.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And you know what I love about these next segments is how about the learning that we do in talking about horses. In this segment's brought to you by the Pinto Horse Association of America. And this is going to be 2 great shows a year. The first one's going to be June 8th through the 22nd. And that is something that all breeds can go through and everybody can learn. Merle, I know you're a big participant in this.
Oh yeah, it's one of my clients' favorite shows of the year. The Pinto World Show and the Color Breed Congress. Everybody gets to go. If you've got a horse with 4 legs, man, they've got a class for you.
You know, you and I talked about colt starting, and we were talking about getting our horses all legged up. And one of the guys we have with us today, Scott Rystrom, Quarter Horses, is going to be one of the guys that we really need to deep dive into. He's from Trumbull, Nebraska. Scott, welcome to Better Horses.
Oh, great to be here.
Scott, you get to kick us off with a lot of the starting of these 2-year-olds and getting them ready for the show. Tell us about your operation and some of the things that you like to concentrate on.
I would say first is our breeding program. We've taken great lengths to breed good-minded, good-legged colts, trainability in our colts. I think is where it starts, and setting yourself up to succeed with good horses. And from there, our program, we don't rush colts. We like getting them in around January, and we start messing with them and just doing some groundwork and putting them on the walker and saddling them. Through the years, I have a good friend of mine that's very successful in the mounted shooting world right now. He went off on his own, but he used to work for me. We've been riding together 25 or 30 years, and Dave and I, it's one of the funnest times of the year for us. Dave will come down, and we're big on ponying colts. And I've had people laugh at us because they say when you watch them 2 guys ride together, they never talk. They always know what the other one's going to do. And we just like to set the colts up to succeed and not put them in places that they'll be scared or be able to do something wrong and keep everything quiet. And we've had a lot of success with that. And Merle could ask some questions, but that's kind of how we get them started, and we'll go from there. I don't know how in depth you want to go on the rest of the training part, but
well, before I jump Merle into this, I know that the one thing I want to ask is when you get on the back of these horses for the very first time, and I know you do a lot of prep. I know that we all are getting older in our days, so gone are the days we're just throwing on there and being the old cowboys of see how many 8 seconds you can last. What is your process in getting on for the first time?
Well, I would say some of the groundwork, like we said, we saddle them, we drive them. I put them on the walker with saddles on. We pony them a lot, and like I said, it goes back to the good bred horses with good minds. They kind of tell us, and usually the colts that we're riding now, I would say in a week at the longest, we're on their back. Maybe days after we kind of start this process, if everything goes really well. We don't rush a colt, but if they're ready for me to get on, for years I tried to hire colts out to have someone else start it, and I was never satisfied. So we just do it all ourselves. I'm the one that gets on the colts the first time, and Dave rides a pony horse, and you just got to listen to your colts. They'll let you know when we should be on. But I think you need to be ready, they can still get scared, but that's what Dave's job is to do. If they start getting scared and things get a little out of hand, he can help me through that process without turning it into the Old West, So
Yeah. Well, and this is like this is kind of a fun time of year too. Everybody thinks they've got, well, and they do have a lottery ticket, and everybody's can't wait to scratch it off and see what they've got. And you can probably tell us there's a lot of 2-year-olds that look great as yearlings, and then there's a lot of 2-year-olds that maybe aren't necessarily lunge line material, but man, once they get the weight and the saddle on their back, everything kind of changes. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, every colt's an individual. And I mean, like we said, Shelly's done such a great job of having great brood mares, and we have a great sire right now. So we pretty much know what to expect, on these colts when we start riding them, because we rode multiple generations. But I would say most of the colts we're riding right now are strong colts. And most of the maturities nowadays are later. So like you mentioned the color breed Congress, well, the Go for the Gold will be with that, which I believe helps the 2-year-olds out tremendously, because it gives us another several months to get those colts a fair shot to get in the pen. And with that being said, I mean, and the same thing, you get going along on a colt, and I haven't had one that I've had to back off because I thought it was too much for them. Just the way we start them, I feel a slow, steady process. I don't feel like we have 2-year-olds nowadays that, man, you need to leave him till he's 3. And I know that type of colts are out there. I just don't find that in our program right now. I feel that 99% of our colts are going to make it. So
If you're just joining us, we're talking to Scott Rystrom, Quarter Horses, and he has a full breeding, training, showing, and sales facility there in Trumbull, Nebraska. Talk about your breeding program. How many horses do you have on the ground?
Well, I'm probably going to turn this over to Shelly a little bit, but we'll have between 60 to 100 head of horses around here at one time. Usually 25 probably in training, and the rest of it will be brood mares, colts, and stallions. And at this point, I'll probably pass it over to Shelly.
Shelly, I'll lead you off with this question here. What kind of customers do you like to see coming into your facilities, and where do you see the success coming from?
Oh, Ed, that's a great question. I love customers that love their horses and want to learn and want to, take the next step and continue in their journey with their horse. One of our goals in the breeding and the training is to always do better every time with every horse. We want to do a better job than we did with the last one. And I think that's the key to our breeding program.
Yep.
And to Scott's training program too. One of the funnest things for me is when he's not mad at me about having to ride 2-year-olds.
Well, Shelly,
not really mad, but frustrated, and we haven't always had, we've always had good horses, but we've done an amazing job of making them better every single year.
That's been a growing pains with Shelly and I in our communication back and forth. We, right now, and one of my funny sayings is, I said, this isn't baseball. Them mares get one shot. They don't get 3 strikes. So if them things have a baby, and I'm like, you know what, Shelly, I don't know. They're a nice horse, but they're just not to the standard that we're trying to keep our horses to.
Yeah. One of the things I think is super cool here is, like, we have horses in the barn that we've maintained from birth to 16, 17 years old, and they're still in the show string.
That is amazing.
It really is. In today's horse industry, it really is.
I've been fortunate, and I've had a couple of really nice ones that have maintained show horses into their 20s. And I feel like that's more of a success to me than when they were 3 and 4. And when, everybody kind of expected it early. But to me, the fact that those animals are still comfortable, happy, going around, doing their job at 18, 19, 20 years old, I think that speaks volumes for your program.
I do believe that we kind of come full circle there. I believe that you can attribute some of that, a lot of it, to the breeding, but also to how we start our colts and how much we throw at them. and what we expect. And to me, that's one of the easiest parts of my job is starting colts and getting them there. I think the work really comes in play on how to keep horses fresh-minded, sound, and feeling good into their 18s.
Mm-hmm.
You pick and choose years on like, okay, this horse could be getting bored with this. We need to add an event. We need to do this. We need to do that to keep that horse fresh and liking its job. And that to me is exciting as well. I mean, and it's fun. I like when I got a horse in the barn that's 16 years old and I seen it born here, and I still to this day just enjoy riding it. It's very rewarding for us here.
Before we close this out, I also want to say that you also look for full or part-time people that are willing to help out with your facilities. Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Oh, Ed, thank you for that plug. We need it. The employment in our area is so low. The unemployment in our area is so low that we have trouble keeping people employed. And we could use a couple really great people right now. Even if it was just part-time, we can fit them in. And while we're not looking for a training position right now, we would be training the person in whatever aspects of the industry they wanted to learn the most in. I need help in the breeding barn, and Scott needs help in the training barn. And it's a great time to be in the horse industry, and it's a lot of fun. So, and even if somebody's further away and they can't make it to Nebraska, we have lots of friends looking for help too. So,
Merle, I think we got a job.
Yeah. Is there an age limit?
We'll take it, Ed.
Is there an age
Yeah,
limit?
there's no.
Scott and Shelly, hey, thank you guys so much. These are two of my best friends, and thank you guys so much for being here. If people, because I know you stand, not only do you stand stallions, but you also stand colored stallions. You have Fully Furnished, which is a Carmelo stallion this year. His first year you're standing him, and also He Takes My Breath Away. If somebody's wanting to get a hold of you, talk horses, breed mares, colts, 2-year-olds, wherever they want, how could they get a hold of you guys?
Thanks, Merle. We love you too. They can always find us on Facebook. Scott Rystrom Quarter Horses has a Facebook page. Both stallions have a Facebook page. And again, that's Fully Furnished Stallion, and He Takes My Breath Away. You can reach out to us in either of those areas on social media. And actual websites are a lot of work, and I'm a very busy person, so I've failed at that for quite a while, but I do have one halfway started. So we'll see how that goes this year.
That's great.
Well, we appreciate that. And if you want to call her, 308-383-1951 is the number. And that is Scott and Shelly Rystrom at Scott Rystrom Quarter Horses. Hey, this has been very informative. Scott and Shelly, we appreciate you joining us here at Better Horses. We're going to be right back with more information on horses. My name's Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages. And welcome back to Better Horses. One of the greatest things we get to do in this show is talk about the different disciplines we have in horsemanship. This segment is brought to you by Heritage Tractor, and with me, my co-host, Merle Arbo. Merle, we're going to be talking to the 5th generation horseman and performer.
Yeah, and this guy is no stranger to being in front of a crowd, and in fact, I'll let him introduce his dad, but we want to welcome Nicholas Diaz to the Better Horses.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're coming to us from Texas, and I think we have to step back for just a minute and talk about what a charro is. And I think you have a very big tradition of being a horseman in your countryside. So kind of walk us back to the history that you have on horseback and your family.
Well, I'd love to. The tradition of the charro dates back centuries, and a lot of the cowboy lifestyle and ranch work has been adapted from them. I'm a 5th generation now. My father is 4th. He was a charro completo, which is like all-around champion 5 times in the charro discipline. And he was very successful there. And he saw that there was a need for growth and expansion and a reason to educate the people about the culture and he started performing in his mid-20s. And for those of you wondering who my father is Jerry Diaz, which has been worldwide known, and just trying my best to live up to that legacy. But he felt that there was more that he could do for the Charro community and the culture. So he started his performing, and he has gone just about any place you can think of, any town, any state. I mean, he's almost been there and done it all. And then lately, in the past 30 years, he started his own very Mexican rodeo extravaganzas and productions. And we do some of those at some of the big places like the National Western Stock Show, Fort Worth Stock Show, the State Fair in Dallas. This year, we're going to be bringing it to the San Angelo Rodeo on April 21st. And that'll be the first year and the first time that they have any kind of Mexican culture represented at their rodeo. So we're very excited about that. But we have a lot of history, and a lot of history beyond just the Charro culture. We have the horsemanship side, which training horses is our passion and our art form. And we really pride ourselves on that. We're private trainers. We don't have a lot of people around. We don't have assistant trainers. We don't have grooms. Everything is done by us, Jerry, Stacy, and Nicholas Diaz. And we're very proud of that. We keep it in the family, and we keep our roots growing strong.
Just to clarify for our audience, we're talking to Nicholas Diaz, and Stacy is your mother, but she's also very active and a very accomplished equestrian.
Yes, my mom, Stacy, grew up on they raised American albino horses, American white horses. Her family did, and they still do. And they traveled and they performed on circuses all over the country and in different countries as well. They had their own Wild West shows. They've been around for a long time and are still active in the equine industry. So it's very special to me to have a lineage, you could say, of accomplished horse people on both sides of my family.
Your mom does Roman riding, dancing horses, and Liberty horses on top of that. But at the tender age that you started with this, there's, I think I could be wrong, so you got to clarify, but I think you've got up to 21 national championship awards.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, walk me through that one. I'm supposed to, by the way, that was planted question by your dad that I'm supposed to embarrass you with. So I officially did my job. So kind of walk us through this with all your Andalusian breeding that you're doing in this business.
Well, yes, he knows I'm not a fan of talking about myself, but for the past 3 years, I've been competing at the Andalusian Nationals and been very successful with 2 horses. My first horse that I took, his name is Ardiente, owned by a dear friend and client of ours, Gay Glasbrook. And we started kind of the first year, you go in there. We've never done any type of competitions, so that was not our background, not something we're familiar with. So we kind of went into it blindly, and I did my research, and we had lots of success, which was kind of surprising. Went back the second year and thought, okay, can't really top the first year. Went back, had even a better year. And then last year, which is 2023, went back and I took my personal horse and the client horse, and we cleaned up everything. It was a lot of work, that goes on at home when you're training. And it's really nice to see it be successful in a show ring and competition, and getting Horse of the Year awards and equestrian awards. And it's really nice and rewarding to have something to work for and to be rewarded for it.
Nicholas, one of the things, as we all like to train horses, can you give us a tip that you kind of live by when you're dealing with these beautiful Andalusian horses and you're training and you're competing? One of the things that you've been riding, there's rumors that you got on a horse when you were 3 days old, and at 18 now, you're just constantly moving. What's your experience, and what are the biggest challenges you like to see or like to teach other people?
I like the challenge of working with horses that need help. So we come across a lot of horses that maybe come to us for resale, come to us for training, that have been mistreated, abused, have different quirks about them that most people just can't stand to handle. And honestly, I would say 90% of our show horses have all been rehabbed horses that we have bought ourselves from people that just simply didn't know what to do with them, that they were just a lost cause with them, or they were aggressive and abusive horses, towards the owners. And we've taken them and given them a new life and a new purpose. So I really enjoy doing that with them. It takes a long time, takes a little bit longer than if you're starting one, green, because you kind of have to do a little bit of untraining. But I feel that it's very rewarding, and feel like you're doing something good for the horses and in the equine community to take animals that need help and to be able to give them a job that is meaningful, not only for us, but for them, and also that the audience gets to enjoy them.
So in some cases in your business line, you also do sell horses periodically?
Yeah, so we do. We'll have horses that we raise and train, or client horses that, we don't sell anything that we are not aware of. We won't sell a horse that someone has for sale and try and just make a quick buck. That's not our line of business. We want to make sure that when we sell a horse, it goes to the perfect home, the perfect facility, the perfect rider, and they need to match well, because not all horses are built equally. And we're very upfront and honest about everything, but we only sell horses that we have had our hands on and can genuinely tell you what this horse is or is not going to do.
And the next question is the difference of training between the domestic United States and Mexico. Do you see, from your perspective, a big difference in training these types of disciplines?
I do. The thing about us, we respect every discipline equally. I think every equine discipline is beautiful in its own right. I'm a fan of dressage riding. I really enjoy that, and that's something that it's kind of out of book for us. But I've been enjoying that and training it, and been competing and been having a lot of fun and success with that. But there is a lot of difference, and I think that if there wasn't difference, no one would be unique in the equine industry. Everyone needs to be unique, and there's so many different trainers that can do so many great things. And I really love that, because there's not too many industries where you can pick 5 different people. They all have the same common bond and love for something, but they can do 5 different things with the same animal. So I really think that that's super special and very, very unique. You just can't compare it to anything else.
No, that's exactly right. Now, I know you're traveling, you're going all over the USA and Canada.
Yes.
But you are going to be in Salina, Kansas at the Equifest of Kansas from March 14th to March 17th. They can go see you at the Livestock Expo Center. And where do you go to next? Now, you're going to be there March 14th and March 17th, so we can all go see you and catch some great educational information workshops and all that fun stuff. And then where do you go?
From there, we go to Springfield, Missouri, where we will be doing at the Empire State Fair and Rodeo. We'll be doing another rodeo and clinic there for them the week following that. And then we come home for a little while, catch a break, put some training in on our own horses, and then we move on to the next one. And we just constantly keep preparing. But going back to Equifest, Thursday night is going to be very special at 7:00. They're going to have the World of Horses. And that is the big day to come out, is Thursday, the 14th. It's a big day. We're going to have a breed demo. We're going to be giving a clinic, and we're also going to be performing in the evening show. So I really stress to come out all the days, but especially Thursday, the 14th, if you would like to see all of us do the most performing.
And that's a perfect way to wrap it up. That's Equifest of Kansas. You can see Nicholas Diaz and the entire Diaz family beginning March 14th, all through the 17th, and that will be Equifest of Kansas. Nicholas, I wanted to tell you, thank you for joining us. We want to have you back on the show, and I want to see how you do as your career continues to progress.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being here with you guys, and look forward to being on with you guys again soon.
Very good. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hi, I'm Tommy with Heritage Tractor. Whether you're looking to maintain your yard or your whole ranching operation, Heritage Tractor has John Deere mower and tractor packages that make work fly by. With a variety of horsepower and attachment configurations, we have a package to best fit your needs and budget. To learn more about these exclusive packages, visit us in store or online at heritagetractor.com.
Legendary products, extraordinary service, that's our heritage.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com. Runny nose, cough, fever. It's flu season for humans and horses. Like human flu vaccines, equine flu vaccines must be updated to protect against the flu strains circulating now. Merck Animal Health's flu-containing vaccines include the most current flu strains, protecting your horse from illness and time-missed training because of it. Talk with your veterinarian about Prestige flu vaccines and learn more about the science of advanced protection at prestigevaccines.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes a barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
It's time to mark your calendar for one of the top horse events of the season, the 27th Annual Equifest of Kansas. This all-breed horse fair is coming to Salina, Kansas, beginning Thursday, March 14th through Sunday, March 17th. World-renowned clinicians including Guy McLean, the Jerry Diaz family, Julie Goodnight, Patrick Sullivan, and Sally Batten. Catch a special Thursday night show, plus the most popular competitions with ranch rodeo, barrel race, and breakaway roping. Wall-to-wall shopping for all things horse. For more information, go to equifestofks.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses. And as we promised you, we always like to take a portion of our radio show and talk about cattle. And in this segment, we want to tell you it's been brought to you by the Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, not only famous in equine, but also in cattle. And Merle, this is something you dive into. You got horses and cattle that you do every day.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the Better Cattle segment is one of my favorites. So this one will be an interesting segment coming up.
And with us today, the Livestock Marketing Association has been in existence since 1947. I'm excited to have Chelsea Good, the Vice President of Government and Industry Affairs at the Livestock Marketing Association. And Chelsea, welcome to Better Horses.
Thanks so much for having me today.
Okay, so for all of us that are not real familiar with the Livestock Marketing Association, that's obviously been around for a very long time, give us a quick overview of what that entails.
We are a national trade association that represents your local livestock auctions or sale barns across the United States. And so many of those local auctions that people are familiar with would be members of ours, and we do a variety of things. But I tend to focus a lot on some of the policy work and time in Washington, D.C., making sure that laws and regulations don't negatively impact your local livestock auctions or sale barns. We also, as an association, stream those sales online in lmaweb.com and work with our markets on communication and emergency management and a variety of other things as well.
So obviously you're providing legal assistance and policies representing. What are the biggest challenges that you think our sale barns are going through?
I think one big challenge is just the whole regulatory structure. Livestock auctions are regulated by the Packers and Stockyards Act.
Right.
Actually passed in 1921 and was really kind of written for those terminal stockyards, like you think about the Chicago Union stockyards or Kansas City, that were very different environment than our sale barns today. They actually didn't even have an auction component to them originally. And so some of this law has gotten really antiquated over the years and just hasn't kept up with modern times. And so we're working with Congress right now on a couple potential updates just to kind of help keep that law working at the speed of our businesses today.
So what's changed from a sale barn perspective that's in the last 10 to 20 years?
10 to 20 years, I think I would go even further back than that in terms of the way livestock are sold. And it is, we used to ship cattle on a rail car to a terminal stockyard, and you had a market agency there that was just an individual that would represent your animals to those co-located packers. We really saw, a big change, really in the 1960s, 1970s, where we saw more of those kind of move to the countryside, closer to the people, and add the auction component to the sales, which really just adds so much transparency and so much competition. In the last 10 years or so, we see a lot of our auctions are now also streaming online. Some are even offering the opportunity to bid on livestock online. So you'll have sellers that will watch their animals sell, even if they've got a town job, they can watch them from the office, or you've got people that are participating in these auctions that may or may not be physically there.
Well, that's interesting the way that has changed. What changes do you think, or what do you think will happen to the market? I mean, we're obviously in record low cattle numbers. I mean, the small auction houses are getting less and less popular like they used to be. What do you foresee, coming down the pike?
From a cattle number perspective, overall, we are low. The cattle industry is cyclical in terms of cow numbers, and things like drought really do affect our total volume of livestock. We sold a lot of cows in the last couple of years at auction, and obviously that's business that was productive, but also was challenging because some of that was producers liquidating because they had to, because of drought and other reasons that they just weren't going to be able to keep that same number of animals there. So I think that we're starting to look for some more heifer retention, and hopefully, moving towards, we've seen the low in the cattle cycle and moving towards more numbers overall. But if you take a step back and look at the big picture, auctions sell 32 million head of cattle a year, as well as 7 million head of hogs and 3 million head of sheep and goats annually. And so in terms of overall volume, still very healthy, a huge part of our livestock industry overall. It's approximately $28 billion of livestock sold through auctions each year, and we continue to see that moving forward.
So let's break this down from a cow-calf operation. Do you see a lot of them going direct to the consumer and bypassing everything? Is that just a kind of a fluke thing, or is that something that you see the industry going towards?
That's a great question. I think that is a trend we've seen with more kind of freezer beef and, that direct to consumer marketing, that we've seen that grow and really saw that grow over the COVID timeframe. And I think that that's a productive thing for many producers, but it's probably not going to be the majority of our industry. I think that the majority of our industry is still kind of in a more traditional system where you've got a cow-calf producer that raises the calves, but then takes them to town and, sells them at auction, or, sells them through some other method. You've got your backgrounders who are going to add weight. They get sold again to a feed yard and then finally sold the last time of their life to a packer. That's still the majority of our marketplace. one trend we have seen and something that, the auctions are participating in is sometimes some of those buyers are wanting more information about animals, whether it's, their vaccination history, their weaning history, or even non-hormone treated or other, specific information. We are working on ways to pass more information up and down the chain, particularly as we have buyers come to the marketplace that are willing to pay more for some extra information about those calves.
So that's really good data. Are we keeping our stockyards healthy? Are they staying pretty much secure in their position, or do you find them struggling?
We're pretty stable in terms of most of our member markets are doing well and seeing, good growth in business. So our membership numbers indicate that we probably have about 800 or so regularly selling livestock auctions throughout the United States that are, focused on cattle. And I think that number is fairly stable.
Okay, so they tend to thrive. And they continue to thrive. That's really good. And so we have cow-calf operations. As Merle just mentioned, we are at a low, but you think that's cyclical. I agree with you. I think there's going to be a big trend going up. I mean, right now, cattle prices are doing really well. So about policy changes, anything that the government's wanting to get their hands onto or want to change the industry that you want to share with us?
As it relates to the livestock auctions in particular, one area that we're working is we would like to see more local packing capacity, more regional packers, more competition in the packing space. There's actually an antiquated prohibition that keeps a livestock auction owner from owning or investing in a packing facility. It kind of dates back to those terminal stockyards where we didn't have the transparency that we do today. We are working with Congress on a bill to adjust that. I've got quite a few members that want to participate in that, whether it be a local locker or we've seen some pooled fund approaches to some packers that are getting built in Amarillo and Nebraska and a couple other places where we've got folks that want to invest in things like that.
So if a business wanted to get in there and open up their own packing plant, they really have to go through a lot of rigor and a lot of regulation to do that, correct?
Yes, it is. It's an intensive thing to do, labor intensive, cost intensive, and you've got quite a bit of a regulatory challenge to get that done. But for folks who are in our industry that are wanting to do that, I think that we should be encouraging it. And particularly as I think about my own membership, livestock auction owners that are interested, I think it could be a business that pairs very well with owning an auction. And so we're hopeful for Congress to move forward on those bills.
Is there room for more auctions to come on board, or do you feel we just want to maintain what we have and they're pretty much such a stable in the industry that there shouldn't be any change?
Good question. And we do see in some limited circumstances, new auctions getting built or facilities, coming back online. And that's something that we welcome. We're in the competition business, right? That's what we do for a living is, help have competition for producers for their animals. And so we welcome more folks in our industry participating in that as well.
Right. Now, Chelsea, if they wanted to know more information about this, your company and what you do, where can they go?
So our website is lmaweb.com. That's a good place to look for information. Or if you're somebody who's on social media, Sell at Auction on Facebook or Instagram is a good place to check out as well.
Very good. Chelsea Good, Vice President of Government and Industry Affairs at the Livestock Marketing Association. Chelsea, I want to thank you for joining us. We want to have you back because I think you can really get us into a really deep dive of this industry and exactly how we connect all the dots.
Absolutely. Enjoyed visiting and would like to do so again.
Very good. And Merle, I can tell you that we have to have Chelsea back. There is so much information on the cattle industry that she's aware of that we can just scratch the surface of.
That's great. And we want the listeners' support too. We always are looking for new show ideas, especially on our better cattle. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback from that. So please continue to let us know.
Hey, if you haven't checked us out, check out our website at betterhorses.com. You can check out our newspaper. We're on RFD and the Cowboy Channel. We have our 30-minute TV program and also our podcast, and also announcing that our show is being carried on Equus TV.
That's exciting.
We're going to wrap it up, Merle. I appreciate you joining me. It's always fun to talk about horses. We could do this all day. But I wanted to tell you, we'd like to thank our team behind the scenes, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, our TV producer, Kelly Creech, and naturally all of our sponsors that are making this show possible. But as always, and always remember, we want you to all be good buckaroos and buckarettes. Mind your moms and dads, no matter how old they get. Be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.